Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, your home for comic books, movies, TV shows, and you know it, we got it, Beer of the Week. I'm not seeing us on Facebook right at this moment, but hey, you know what? Thanks for hanging out with us today as we are going to be talking about The Acolyte and The Boys. Some things have happened, some not so good things, some pretty exciting things. It's just... depends how you look at it, right? The Acolyte had an absolutely crazy episode. The Boys, not so crazy. However, we'll talk
The
about
Boys
it.
was not so crazy?
We'll get to it. So,
Are you out of your mind?
All right. Well, here, Lauren, why don't you go ahead and talk about your beer and talk real quick while I figure out what's happening with our Facebook.
So my beer is very in theme for The Boys, not so much Star Wars. And shout out to my cousin Tabby, who gave me one of her soup juices because I drank all mine. And as far as I know, there is no more that you can get. This is from Tavor, and it is also from Family Business Beer Company. If you're not familiar with that, which I feel like if you've been listening to us for a while, you probably are. It is Jensen Ackles Brewery, Family Business Beer Company. And of course, he did the soup juice to honor The Boys. And I have it in my Free the Whales glass, which is usually reserved for hard to get beers, which this is a hard to get beer if you're not in Austin. But also, it's mainly for Fudgy the Whale, because as Carvel retweeted The Boys tweet, they said that it is every occasion is great for a Fudgy the Whale cake. And yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I love The Boys so much. And I'm very excited to talk about this. And so much more happened in The Boys than happened in The Acolyte.
That's true. That's wait, whoa. So much more happened on The Boys than it did The Acolyte? Are you serious?
Yeah.
I respectfully disagree. But give me a second. Why don't you tell people what they can do, where they can find us and everything like that?
So everybody can find us everywhere on the TikTok, the Twitter, the Instagram, the YouTube at hopsgeeknews. And you can find us on Facebook at hopsgeeknews. And if you want some comic book reviews or other type of articles, you can also find us on nerdinitiative.com. And Matt often goes live with Nerd Initiative on Tuesdays. And sometimes we go live other random times. Like last Monday, I went live with Tom to talk Doctor Who. Yeah, we do a lot of random stuff.
We do just be doing random stuff sometimes. And hey, look that we're live. I fixed things.
Woo-hoo.
We're moving. We're cooking with oil out there. So join us, subscribe, like, share, all of that good stuff. If you're out there, please help the podcast grow as we are talking the Cantina Hour tonight. We are talking The Boys like we've talked about. We are going to be talking about Acolyte. So my beer, though, I had to get it because something very terrible happened this week in the Acolyte. We lost a very beloved character.
So there will be spoilers for The Acolyte.
There will be spoilers. Okay, yes.
We'll give you a heads up before we spoil The Boys.
We're giving you spoilers before. Just spoilers. Just assume we're spoiling everything as I update a couple things. But I'm drinking Women's Day. It's called Women's Day. It's an IPA. It is from Ballad Brewing out of Virginia. It is a 5.7% ABV. This is what the can looks like. Like I said, I'm drinking it because we lost our dear beloved Jackie this week. Pour one out for Jackie because I am not okay with this. But we'll talk about that, man. So which one do you want to talk about first, Lauren? You want to go into The Boys? You want to go to Cantina Hour? Like,
I say let's do The Acolyte first because that's been out for a few days, whereas The Boys episode 5 dropped this morning. So let's do The Acolyte, and
That's
we will give spoilers before we start spoiling The Boys. And if you are not caught up, you will be able to catch this later once you are caught up.
You will. So yeah, we'll talk about The Acolyte. All right, talk about The Acolyte then. Well, Episode 5, everybody was up in arms, panicking after episode 4, where they're like, nothing happened. This didn't. First of all, I wish I could put this on our screen because for some reason the comments aren't totally working. But Jose Lozano, my boy out there, said that I'm the best softball player. Yes, actually, that is factual. At first, I was sucking yesterday, but I just lured the other team into a false sense of security, kind of like Quimir did this week on the Acolyte. And I hit a home, or not a home run. I hit a double to kind of end the game, and we won. So no big deal. Shout out to my boy Jose out there. Big ups to him. If you're out there, comments. For some reason, the Facebook comments aren't showing up on our little thing here. Things a little screwy. I tried to do some things, but no big deal. Yes, the Acolyte, episode 4, we left off where they were in the woods. Kalneka was dead. May was hiding in, looking to see what was going on. And from that point, the Jedi, the lightsabers, this mysterious Sith, they call him the Stranger. He appeared, and shit was about to get crazy. And crazy it did. I mean, look at this man. This man, he throws OSHA to the side. So they call him Darth Teeth, which is one of the things I've seen going around, which is kind of funny to me. But I mean, he's kind of a badass looking character. Like he's got this whole fit. He's got his poncho going. He's got the helmet. He's pretty menacing. He's got the voiceover modulator. Which people do. That's what my thing was. I was like, how does he see out of this? I'm very confused. I'm not sure how.
Even Mando and everything. It's like, well, okay. Even when girls have their hair down, like I've been rewatching the X-Men movies and seeing Psylocke when she drops down in Apocalypse and her hair is like, no, you guys need to be able to see when you're fighting for your life.
Yeah, I don't really understand how they're able to do that, which is kind of funny.
I can't do
but you know what?
With my hair down.
Well, like you're whipping your hair around, so wouldn't you poke yourself in the eye? Have you ever poked yourself in the eye? You poke me in the eye. Has that ever happened to you while I've going crazy with your hair down?
Yeah, I've definitely had my hair get in my eyeball. And when you go, let's say Josh opens the windows for 2 seconds, then I have a huge freaking rat's nest in my hair.
I hate when my hair's flying around anyway. Not like I have a lot of hair, but still
It was the best part of the movie Birds of Prey when the one girl can't eat. She's like, oh, do you need a hair tie? And she's like, yes, thank you. And she puts her hair up to finish fighting.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's the most realistic thing that has ever happened in any superhero movie ever.
But you're right though. Their hair's all down. But anyways, we kick off with some epic lightsaber battling.
The lightsaber
Soul is standing on business. So what do you think about the lightsaber battle?
That was the best part of the episode. I did not love it nearly as much as you. I have more complaints probably than I do compliments, but the lightsaber fights were fantastic.
First of all, my mom said, shout out to my mom out there too. She said she thought it resembled the Mandalorian. And the helmet definitely did. I agree with that. That's a big thing. Because back in the old days, the Sith and the Mandalorian actually fought together against the Jedi, believe it or not. And then the Jedi actually kind of wiped out the Mandalorian at a point. And so that's probably why a lot of it.
And what did he have that was repelling the lightsabers? Was it Beskar steel? Because that was
no. Okay, so I'm going to get to that. It's not Beskar. I will get to that. Lozano said the Acolyte is splitting audiences and critics. It's about to split this podcast. Lauren, I want to hear what your critique. I'm going to say it wasn't a flawless episode, but by all means, please, what were your takes? Give us your thoughts.
So I like that Duval was the guy in the mask. I actually did like that. I thought the fight scenes were absolutely fantastic. But outside of that, it was was every person in this show other than Saul and the twins cannon fodder? We're just straight up just murdering everybody. I get that they don't exist in what we're accustomed to and that they're all dead now no matter what, with the Skywalker saga. Well, obviously, except for a few people that live for hundreds and hundreds of years. But it's just, did somebody just say go Bengals? Oh,
they did. Jordan, you knucklehead.
Okay, I was confused for a second because that was
I look like a Bengal. No, this is actually an Ahsoka sweater from Roosevelt.
Like someone from Piper.
You guys want to tag Roosevelt? Let them know that we're rocking it tonight. No, but that's my dude Jordan. All right, so I'll touch on this point real quick.
That was my high school mascot. Yes. That's okay.
Everybody.
But it's just the story's not really progressing though, and this evil twin thing is just not working for me. There's not. And I knew that she was going to be set up for the Kelnaka thing. You saw that coming. She walks in and you're like, oh, great. She's going to get blamed for this, even though she didn't do it. And she's starting to have a change of heart.
I do hate when they do that setup thing. I'm like, ugh, really?
That misunderstanding thing that's no, it's not. I loathe that in any TV show or movie. But I'm not there yet, but I'm not going to quit because I'm hoping that it will still pay off. But I said I didn't like the twin thing from the beginning. I don't like the twin thing.
All right, I'm gonna dissect this real quick. So let's come on through a path. Trust me, there's nobody gonna.
I thought it
I
was
do
going to
have
be
a
one of the twins'
lightsaber.
moms.
Don't worry, I have a lightsaber, but I'm not gonna be cutting anybody up in these woods. Come with us.
I have
Yeah.
a
So we all kind of
stormtrooper
like.
helmet.
Some people thought that it was going to be their mom, which I'm going to touch on that in a second, actually, because there's a theory I might have here going into more. But so first things first, you thought, okay, the Jedi were cannon fodder. Yes, I do agree with that. You knew when they brought extra Jedi, like they're definitely going to die. Like, all right, for sure. But I didn't expect Yord. First of all, he got pretty jacked up, and then his poor little neck got broken. Jackie, not somebody I thought was going to bite the dust either, and then she got triple
I
stabbed.
didn't think she was, and he didn't even seem that like sold. Was like, oh, just move on. Like he's already using her in the past tense, and that was his freaking Padawan.
Well, it's
Tom
the
just said,
Jedi.
"Hold up,
Like,
whose birthday is it? You need to watch The Boys, and then you would know why we have Fudgy the whale cake on the."
Master Mundy got retconned. Okay, all right. It's
You
not
know,
the
I
Parent Trap,
honestly
it's the
thought that
sibling
that was
trap.
a.
Yes,
I went to Parent Trap too. They're 100% like Parent Trapping
they
this.
are.
It's like unless they sing "Let's get together," yeah. Like that's the only way they can make this
Okay,
Parent
all
Trap thing
right.
work.
Back to my
Uh,
back to my point though.
okay, I'm
Let's
sorry.
talk about the Jedi getting killed. Yes. However, they did raise the stakes. They didn't just needlessly kill any. They killed him and really cool. There's a Jedi kebab and then to cutting the head off. There was people getting cut, stabbed, all sorts of things. I thought was pretty cool. So it kind of shows you the power and the rawness. It was very visceral. It was brutal. It was the fight, the heaviness to it. That I really appreciated. I thought that was cool. But my point with the twins is I agree with the twins. I don't think that storyline is the main storyline. However, I think that's there as a plot device. It's the subplot, which I don't think it's a good subplot. I've been very vocal about that myself. I don't really care about May. I don't care about Osha. I feel like they don't really serve anything to the bigger, like, May and Osha just were there to stand by, look scared, and run away the whole time in this episode and most episodes. Now, I think the bigger plot at hand is who is Quimir's master. That's what I think we're getting to. I think we're getting to this big reveal because there's something between Soul and the stranger.
We
Because
still don't.
it
know
is
what
all about
happened
me, real quick, Mom. It is. Or
with
if
the
we can be,
kids.
it's not. You're right. But for a second there, we don't know what happened in the past. And Quimir was even like, "You don't remember me," and Soul was like, "Something feels familiar." So they have
But
a
that
history together.
I honestly thought that was just when they had met before at the shop.
No, I think there's something
Can-
deeper there. There's got to be something deeper, and I think that we're gonna introduce I can never pronounce his name. Tenenbaum. Like there's Darth Tenen, whatever pronounce his name.
Tenenbaum. What do you say?
Yeah, well, he's like that. He's got like
Oh,
this squid
Tenenbaum.
octopus looking face, who also trained Plagueis. Now, Plagueis learned how to manipulate the Force. Now, there was a whole point where Osha was talking about how you can't beat him. He gets in your head and he stays there. And then she was like, "My mom did the same thing." So her mom was kind of a dark Force user, and people have speculated that Quimir was actually standing at that night a long time ago. And I'm very curious to see if Quimir actually is under the the bigger plot at hand. I think is that Plagueis, who trained Emperor Palpatine, is the big bad villain of this whole series, and we're building up to something that happened with Soul to reveal Plagueis, and that Quimir is a Sith apprentice looking for his own apprentice to take on Plagueis, and I think Quimir is ultimately going to die, Darth Arms, if you will, because that baby is jacked. But yeah, the missing energy is the visceral pull that Star Wars can summon in its best moments. I just love it. It's funny. It wasn't a mind. I thought the first 15 minutes was the most mind blowing, like the heaviness of the lightsabers, the battling of the lightsabers. It's something that we haven't seen in a
and the
long time.
lightsaber is going out too. For a second, I thought, is this because this is
Okay.
older? How we talked about like the back to tanks aren't that great yet. Like hyperspace
Let's get to
travel
this.
isn't as common yet. So yeah,
Lauren's mom's in the chat. Hey, Lori. All right, let's get to this then. All right, so the reason why the lightsaber shorted out was because he had armor. It was an ancient armor known as cortosis. Now, this is an armor that is resistant to lightsabers. It can even cause them to short out for a small period of time. So his helmet's made out of it, as you see when he headbutts. I've never seen somebody headbutt a lightsaber before, but I was like really kind of turned on by that fact. Like, oh, okay, daddy.
you should like burn your head.
Well, but
I
it's
guess he just hit the
cortosis.
hilt.
That's the metal. And then he had it.
Yeah.
He had the armor on his one hand, so that's why he was able to block it. As you saw with Yord, he blocked Yord, and then he brought him into the headlock and
So it's like
it's
Mandalorian,
cortosis.
where their armor is designed to defeat the Jedi.
Yes, it's a very old, very rare type of metal that is resistant against lightsabers. It's a
It
very
has
deep
to
pull.
be
Very
rare,
deep
or they
pull.
would have it, in the future. I always want to say the present, but I'm like,
No,
what is
like
the present in Star Wars? There is no present.
this is how you know the showrunners like know their shit though, because like that's a deep pool. Like, not a lot of people knew what that was, and
But I wonder how much of that is making people not like the show. Because like for me, I almost feel like I need to go and rewatch everything again because I'm just like, oh, okay, wait. And I'm like starting to think things. And even with the Monday guy, I was like, maybe a lot of his species just looks very familiar, and that's a different person.
Well, no. So the big thing, first of all, my mom says, wasn't he cutting them off at the base instead of shorting them out? No, he was hitting them, and that shorts out the lightsaber because their lightsabers came back on. But with Ki-Adi-Mundi, remember they've been making a very big point through the show to say that the Jedi are trying to purposely not let anybody know what's going on because they're political opponents. Also, he doesn't believe that it's an actual Sith. And then Quimir says, when Soul is like, "Who are you?" And then he goes, "I don't have a name." He goes, "But a Jedi might call me Sith." He doesn't say that I'm a Sith. He says that you might refer to me as a Sith, but I don't have a name. And then all he wants is a pupil. That's all he wants to be able to practice the Force how he wants. He wants a pupil of his own, and he doesn't have a name or a purpose kind of deal. So that's another big thing. So the Sith don't technically actually exist yet. And then also the Jedi are very adamant about not letting anybody know that there's a Sith running around.
Right. Well, and I think that they also, because they have to be consistent with the
right. I mean,
trilogy.
But also like not for nothing though. Like think of how many times like movies also kind of like retcon some stuff too at the same time. It's a very big throwaway line. The Sith have been extinct for millennia. Well, maybe he just, I don't know. Like I'm okay with that.
What you're aware of, what you're not aware of, and what information you have access to and you don't have access to. It's like, we don't know everything that's going on in our lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. I'm okay with things, but I do agree that as the episode went on, it kind of slowed down. I know people are like, cutting hair with a lightsaber is so lame. We literally saw Yoda cut Obi-Wan's in the Clone Wars movie a long time ago. He cut Obi-Wan's, as I ripped my headphones off, Padawan braid off. He cut it off with his lightsaber.
Okay.
He's done it before.
I thought it was lame too, but they do that in so many TV shows and movies, and it's almost always lame. Because if, other than Mulan was the only one who pulled off the chopping off her hair with a sword and it looking badass. That is, and I'm talking the cartoon Mulan. Right. It was cheesy. She threw it back. You do it, and then like all these people who cut their hair in movies, and they're like, "This is a moment where I'm like."
It doesn't come out even like that, okay?
Right? Can we have one realistic scene where it's like half jacked and whatever, and now they have messed up bangs, and like, oh well, this was a terrible mistake. I do not feel like free.
I do like that she cut it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh,
and it just sizzles off, and then she flips. She's like,
she looks just like her all of a sudden, like as a perfect cut. And I'm like, all right, I don't know if that's the case.
Anybody who knows identical twins, if you know the identical twins, they do not look identical. You can always tell identical twins apart when you know them. And these people know Osha and they know May, and they are Force sensitive. So I feel like there's no way they could have parent trapped this.
I think Soul knows. I have a feeling that Soul knows because another thing is,
and he's okay with just leaving Osha.
I don't know. Maybe he thinks she's dead. I don't know. Okay. Also, like the Jedi were shrouded by the dark side before, but I got a feeling like maybe he just wasn't in tune with the Force at that moment because of everything that had happened. Jackie died. Yor died. All the other Jedi died. He's the only survivor. He barely escaped. He's handling it
pretty well right now. Maybe
he is. I mean, he's a Jedi master, so they kind of like Jedi don't form, whatever. But I almost feel as though
they still have feelings.
They do. But I mean, I almost feel like there's, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like he's got to know, right? Like that's silly. I feel like he's got to know, or like something's going to come into play because I'm not buying her storyline either. I think there's something bigger because the guy who played Martian Manhunter in Supergirl?
Mm-hmm.
He is a cast member on this show and we haven't seen him yet. And he's very familiar with playing CGI monsters, which makes me think we're getting another, the Master.
I really like him in Supergirl.
Agreed.
I like him as the Martian Manhunter.
I very much agree. But he's
really wasted that Wookiee. Do you think we'll get more flashbacks?
They killed the Wookiee off screen. I hope we don't get more flashbacks. I don't care. The twins were born through the Force. We saw that with the mothers manipulating the Force. I think one of the mothers still alive. I think she's the one that taught Plagueis how to manipulate the Force to create life, which is what he does with Anakin. So that doesn't break anything. But yeah, I don't know. I have that. The twins are my big problem. They're my glaring problem in the show. I still I like the show, but the twins are admittedly my problem too. Like I do think they're an issue.
Short too. Like I almost feel like if we weren't
They
doing
don't
these
do
Cantina
anything.
hours, or if I wasn't worried about spoilers, I would prefer to almost wait and have it just be longer.
That's my
It's
other
like
problem.
30
Yeah,
minutes. So
they're
freaking
30-minute
short for a show
episodes
like
with
this.
100%, especially when you got shows like The Boys and The Bear. They're out there doing hour and 6-minute episodes.
House of the
Like
Dragon, yeah.
House of Dragon's a full hour. I kind of wish Disney would kind of lean in. If they're doing 8-episode series, lean into actually doing. Dang, Travis, you did?
I mean, you can. I don't know if it will.
I guess.
If you do, please post a before and after. I'd love to see how it turns out.
Yeah, I would love it before and after. Jose says Osha versus May when? I think May is going to die and Osha is going to become the Acolyte. And so then if Quymir takes on his own apprentice, it's going to be Osha. And then who knows what happens from there? Because they want to do multiple seasons. They're waiting to see if they get picked up for another season. The showrunner says that they have ideas for multiple seasons. So I'm curious to see.
I mean, they better end that show with a banger if they want people to.
They got.
I mean, I'll end up watching it no matter what.
But I see people's complaints. It's not a flawless show. I wholeheartedly understand why people are not loving it. However, I don't like the people that are blatantly hate watching it just so they can make a video talking about how bad Disney is and how they killed Star Wars. Like, I think that's a bit aggressive. Calm down.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I mean, I enjoyed Mandalorian season 3 very much. I really enjoyed Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I didn't. That's okay.
Boba Fett.
I loved Obi-Wan.
I enjoyed all of those more than I'm enjoying the Acolyte. But how it ends,
you enjoyed Boba Fett more than the Acolyte?
So far, yes, but the show's not over, so I don't know how it's going to go. Because with Boba Fett, I felt like there was more going on. I was more invested. I was familiar with the characters. Where here, it's like they're barely getting you acquainted with these characters, and they're just straight up murdering them. So I'm like, should I care? But I mean, I feel like I should care. I mean, even him, it was. I didn't dislike him. He seemed like a frat guy that grew up and got a job at a good company.
It's all about this daddy right here.
I mean, every time I see him now, I'm just going to say Duval.
Don't care about her, but yeah, no, you're right. Like, I
liked Soul, but this episode I liked him the least. But we still don't know what happened.
There's something in his past. There's something there.
But we still don't know what the hell happened with the girls when the girls were little on that planet.
Yeah, that's right.
She's accusing
May. How do you feel about this character?
Oh God! What are you going to do? I knew that was
coming. What's your thoughts on Darth Jar Jar?
So watching The Boys, actually, I thought I had to say to Josh, like, because Huey had a cat named Jar Jar, and
he did, yes, because Simon Pegg's a big Star Wars fan too.
My husband, yeah.
All right, so we'll kind of wrap up the Acolyte here in a second. They did mention some things at the end. They mention his past. There's more to the past. They're not telling us the whole thing. There's something big missing, especially between Soul and possibly Quymir. And I do love how Manny was able to basically, like, his helmet came off, and dude, the coldest line was that its name? Like, dog. And then he was like, Soul was like, she was a child. And he goes, you brought her here. Like, so what? I was like, dang, this dude went so hard. And then he
makes a good point.
Like, he does though.
Like these Jedi don't fight many people. Like, they're not used to fighting. So
they're not. There hasn't been Sith around. They kind of went extinct we're in an area of peace. This Jedi aren't fighting other.
Right.
Well, because remember, like Yord. He was basically like, it doesn't make sense. He doesn't follow any rules of combat. There's no rhyme or reason, and it's like,
because it's every man.
He's a Sith.
Freaking competition.
Like, of course he doesn't, because he's a Sith, man. Like, the Sith don't follow rules. Like, that's the point, dude. You got to adjust to combat. Like, get it together. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean,
I do see your complaints.
They're gonna fish hook and punch you in the crotch. You can do what you
got. Hit him in the dick.
Hey, it works.
I mean, I would have, but I just want to give my final thoughts on Jecki. She fought the best out of anybody that touched a lightsaber in this episode. Not to mention when her and May were hand-to-hand combating, like she was serving. Oh my lord, she was kicking some serious. And then she had the double lightsabers.
When she
She
did
was
kick her
drop
ass.
kicking people. She comes flying in, drop kicking May at first. And dude, Daphne Keene, hats off. Daphne Keene deserves the roses. I
She
would love to
deserves
see her in
to,
everything.
be in the MCU as
I
Laura.
would love to see her back as Laura as well. Like she deserves to be in more because she was so ungodly badass that like, dude, Jackie, man, this is the first time that Star Wars has actually got a reaction out of me like that, watching it or a TV show. When I was sitting there and I was talking to Carrie, I was like, dude, I'm loving Jackie. She might be my favorite character. And then 3 minutes later, she gets triple stabbed. I literally,
You did it,
you can
man.
ask
It's your
Carrie.
fault.
I was like, no. I yelled really loud, and Carrie's like, "What's your problem?" I was like, "She's stabbed 3 times." Like that was really cool. He pulled it out like the bottom, like he had that little lightsaber, and then, but like I was like, I yelled very audibly. I was very surprised, and then I gasped when Yord got his neck broken. So I will give it to Star Wars. Like I didn't think they had balls to do something dark like that. Like Star Wars, they chop hands off. They stab people, but they don't kebab Jedi. They don't break necks with their bare hands. Like that was pretty brutal.
I was kind of surprised at the neck breaking because that's not a go-to move in Star Wars.
And again, that dude was, God, I could just talk about his arms all day, man. That dude is yoked out of his mind. Like I would join the dark side just for the fucking secrets behind how to get jacked like that.
As soon as I saw the arms, I'm like, okay, it's not one of the moms.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that was
like
a very masculine arm. I mean,
I've
muscle
seen
mommy,
girls that are super jacked like that, but I didn't think either of the moms were jacked like that. Like that was
right.
And he's on the Marvel diet or some shit.
It was absolutely wild. So that's my final thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts? And then I'll let you get in the driver's seat to talk about The Boys.
No, I don't have any more final thoughts.
All right. Well, real quick before we dive into The Boys, as always, if you are watching, man, drop that like button, follow us on social media, share with your friends, share with your mom. Lauren and my both mom are in here. Shout out to my boy Jose from work. That's my boy right there. He's in here too. So I really appreciate everybody in the chat. Travis, Tom, the Mark, Tom, and Travis show, if you will. This is Cantina Hour.
Oh, I saw that last week.
Yeah, so this is Cantina Hour. We just free flow. If you've never seen it before, we just talk, and most of the time we're reviewing shows. There's a lot out there right now, and it's done because our patrons. So shout out to our patrons who buy into the show. For even $1, you can support the show. You get early ad-free episodes. It goes into letting us do this. Lauren does have a new design that we're hopefully going to have some stickers for here soon or something. But that's how you can support the show, man.
I need to get on that.
Help us out. And then, Lauren, why don't you now dive into The Boys?
Oh, my. Okay, so warning, spoilers for The Boys for the last 2 episodes. Well, maybe we should just talk the 4th episode because number 5 dropped this morning. So if you didn't watch it,
if the
we're
spoiler
just gonna
alert, if you're, we're going into it. The spoiler alert.
So
if you didn't watch it yet, then you can by
come
all
back
means
later.
listen. Or I'm going to post this on the audio only feeds. I am also this is on YouTube, so please come back.
All right.
But if you're here, spoilers the whole way.
So episode 4, obviously the big takeaway for I think all of us was Anthony Starr's performance where he went home. And this was really going into the backstory of why he is the way that he is, because he's such a complex character. He is a complete villain. I'm not going to say he is a nice guy by any means whatsoever. He is 100% a villain, but his story is still tragic, and his upbringing, we learned more, is even more tragic. And somebody had pointed out, I wish I could remember where I saw it because I'd like to give them credit, but do you remember the cartoon Diabolical? It came out a while ago. So, I mean, I want to go back and rewatch. I'll probably rewatch those.
I need to rewatch it because there's 3 episodes that are considered canon, right?
Well, I thought they all were. They're not.
No, I only heard there's only 3 episodes that they made a point to say that these are the ones you should pay attention to.
Okay, well then this one probably is because it goes into Homelander's past. How when Homelander, the cartoon, when they introduce Homelander into the 7, and they ask him about his past, and he is giving this bullshit story about baseball and his dad and this and that, and it's cutting to him being tortured. And so we got to see the live action bit of that. And it was very interesting because he goes home to confront these people who are scientists who were just following orders. As soon as that guy said I was following orders, like,
oh, you knew he was dead.
Yeah, that's a Nazi line, dude. The Nazis were
It
justified
is.
murders. Like that
Yeah.
is what bad guys say who don't think they're bad guys who are working for bad guys. So I felt bad in the realm of like, this is incredibly inhumane and Homelander's torturing them, but I almost felt like they deserved it.
I mean, they did, honestly. Like, that's the thing about this universe, right? Is there's not really any clear-cut good guy. There's not. I mean, especially these scientists,
Annie
like they didn't have to
thinks
still
she's a
work there.
clear-cut good guy, but something's going on with her.
She's losing it.
Yeah.
She's becoming unhinged by everything. I mean, she beat the shit out of Firecracker. Yes, she was justified, but again, you saw it.
Doesn't matter if you're justified.
No, it was public.
And
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun, Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Would have been. She got upset with Huey when Huey got upset that Firecracker released her medical records, and then she was like, "Huey, you getting upset isn't helping. You just punched her. You think that helps?
You just beat the life out of her on national television, and then lost the sponsorship with the future president."
Right, and like Robert Singer's like, well, that bill was gonna pass, but then in this newer episode, her powers are fading and her anger is increasing. So what's going on? That's not normal.
Something's up. Yeah.
I know, but why don't you tell me about the Homelander scene? What did you take away from that? Because I know I still have more to say because I could just go on
from when he was down in the basement with the lab.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I knew right away once he came off there with the cake. Nothing good was going to happen from it, right? Like you kind of knew, like he was fine. It's fine. And then it gets to the point where he plays that game where they're throwing the paper in the trash. He ends up lighting that guy on fire in the oven, which is just brutal.
But they were doing that to him as a child.
Well, that's what he says. Like everything he did to them, they did. Like you burned me, and then you like shot me, and then you used to laugh at me like I thought I had alone time, and then but no, like you were watching.
And he's like, it was the only time of the day like I could do something that felt good or whatever. I'm trying to find the tweet. There was a tweet with Carvel where they had mentioned it earlier. I thought I had screenshot it. Son of a nutcracker. So Carvel actually shared the boys thing and was like, it's always a good occasion for a fudgy cake or Fudgy the Whale cake.
Oh yeah. But I mean, the head guy used to watch him while he, masturbated, which is really fucked up because he was a kid, first of all. So he makes him do it in front of everybody. And then they laugh at him, which was an improvised scene by Anthony Starr, by the way. He improvised laughing and all that kind of stuff. But it's just like,
oh my God, it was so dark when he laughed at him.
So dark, dude. Yeah, it was. I thought the whole thing, like, it was one of the best episodes of the Boys series, period, in my opinion. Like,
just
without a doubt.
Just with that scene. And what also was interesting when they brought in the other lady, Barbara.
Oh yeah,
and like you could tell she was scared, but she also, she's calling him John. She's very like she didn't have to come back. She chose to come back. She obviously was somewhat of a figure in his life growing up. But she described his birth. And so I've read the comics and I didn't even put this together, but if you watch on Amazon, there's actually a thing you can like click and it gives you fun facts.
Oh yeah.
So one of the things we clicked on it and I'm like, oh my God, it is. So the birth that they described of Homelander, where he lasered out of the mom's tummy or out of the surrogate's tummy and like killed people in the room and flew up. That is actually Ryan's birth in the comics.
Oh.
But then Butcher, because he doesn't know Becca's pregnant, and then Becca just starts screaming, and they don't name him Ryan in the comic. He's just the Homelander's baby comes out and kills her, and then Butcher beats him to death.
Right.
Sounds so terrible saying it aloud. That was even like reading the comic. It was like, holy shit! Like that was one of those.
But that's how they describe it in the show, though. Is he came out? That's how he killed.
Right, but they didn't.
He was born.
Baby to death, but explaining like this, everybody was terrified of you, so it was like, okay, that makes sense. And then they brought in these psychologists because the only way they could control him was mentally, but that doesn't justify them torturing him.
No, I mean, he was being tortured. Like, let's call it. Yeah, you were testing him to see what he could.
No, this was a child that was in pain.
It was a child who felt everything at the end of the day. And it was really messed up. And, I also want to give my hats off to Jack Quaid, who's been doing a really good job as far as his acting this season, showing the emotional beats with Simon Pegg, his dad. And then, Kamiko's storyline and Frenchie's not really going anywhere, but Frenchie did tell Colin that it was him who killed his parents at the end of the episode. And then he gets his ass beat by Colin and never see him again.
He lets it. He like wants Colin.
Well, yeah, because Frenchie's he feels guilt.
Yeah, Frenchie's like not an evil person, but he's done some of the most evil shit imaginable.
Yeah, and I'm in and out on Frenchie's character. Like, I feel like they're not really doing him and Kamiko justice at all, because Frenchie just kind of is there spinning tires every season at this point. So I kind of wish they did more with Frenchie, but
I feel like they are now, especially with how this one ended, where he's turning himself in, and he's like, I think he doesn't, he tells Starlight like, I can't, some people can't be forgiven if the crime, I deserve eternal damnation. And I think he's trying to give that to himself, because it was, I believe it's like the first time he's really seen somebody he cares about that was severely negatively impacted by it's the first time Frenchie's seen the consequences of his actions on somebody who didn't deserve them.
No, that's a really good point. Actually, it is. And he's hurt a lot of people. And I mean, the boys in general, like, this season's very about everyone's discombobulated, right? At this point, everyone's all over the place. No one really trusts each other. Everyone's kind of split up. So yeah, I mean, episode 5, I didn't feel like there was a lot, but I do feel like there was a lot, but there wasn't a lot. So we'll start with Huey's dad.
Yeah, I did feel like not too much happened, but then a lot happened. Yeah, go ahead. Huey's dad. Oh my God. And he like runs through the guy.
Oh, all right. So at the end of the episode, he, A-Train gives Huey V because he needs it to save his dad, which his mom turns out to inject his dad at the end of the episode, and he's up and walking. And now in this episode, he has power. He's thrown back mentally to thinking that, Huey's 11 years old, and he's talking about that.
Yeah, stroke. So his brain did not recover. So I thought that was very interesting when he's like, we've seen what it does to healthy people. And like, they were going to pull the plug. He was like brain dead. Yeah.
And so they throw that back, and, he just runs. It's like super speed, but at the same time, he's like phases through
like
things.
Kitty Pryde.
Or Flash when he phases through walls and things. I mean, he accidentally took that guy's heart out, and then he like phased through and exploded the guy that was laying in the hospital bed and other things. So it was like crazy.
Heart, like what made him pull the heart out like that?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he like went to grab him and he phased through on accident, and then it came out the other side. I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things. But yeah, so his dad has that. They're trying to figure out what happens. Meanwhile, the boys go and rescue a familiar face. Stan Edgar is back. Giancarlo Esposito is back. And
I gotta love any scene with him.
They talk about the virus and how Victoria Newman, he's like, well, that's based on my daughter. I taught her everything she knows. And he's like, well, what about her daughter? She's this. And so
he didn't know they gave Zoe compound
B. And so they go to this farm where, Samir, they're looking for Samir, who's created the virus, and
who we met in
Rogue One.
Andor.
And Rogue One. He was in Rogue One as well.
Oh yeah.
But he's in Star Wars. However, yes, so very familiar face. And from there, man, it's kind of crazy because they were practicing on these animals, like the bunny, for example, had it. And these
that was a nice moment where Butcher saw it was Temp V, and Butcher empathized with it. And my husband's like, what is he doing? I'm like, he feels bad for the bunny because he knows this is his future. He's letting the bunny, Butcher's not evil. Butcher's just, I don't know. I love Butcher. I loved when he told Annie, like, she didn't even deserve to be called a see you next Tuesday.
Oh, I love that. I would call you that, but you're not warm or deep enough. And I was like, ooh. I almost texted you that, but I was like, no, I'll save it for later. I was like, oh shit, dude, that was a good burn. Like, dang, I did like that.
I don't know what it is, man. Annie is just rubbing me the wrong way, and every time
I have not liked her the last 2 seasons. So
I know I dislike her more every time she's mean to Butcher. She has such high expectations for everybody else, and she doesn't hold herself to those high expectations.
She's such a hypocrite, dude. I feel
like she wasn't in the first 2 seasons. I don't think she became a hypocrite till season 3 with Soldier Boy.
Yeah, I mean, she's become very jaded. I mean, they all have, right? Annie
I
is
mean,
this
rightfully so. Yeah.
pageant child who never at all, she was sheltered and she had powers and she was told how gifted she was, but then she was assaulted by the deep, and then it just kind of spiraled from there, and now she figured out like what soups really are. And it's, I mean, rightfully so, it's jaded her. I get it, I don't fault her, but at the same time, like, she's just mean to everybody,
She is,
Huey included.
and she does think she's better than everybody. I feel like that's what
She
it is.
does.
Like,
Yeah,
powers or no powers, she thinks and acts like she is better than everybody.
100%.
And that drives me nuts.
Same. I agree. But meanwhile, let's talk about this. Let's talk about, the
Oh, I
beginning of
loved
the episode.
this.
What's going on with Homelander and Ryan in the meantime?
I love that Homeland. It's so funny because, again, I'm not defending Homelander. He is evil, but ever since he met Ryan, he has made good points, and he struggled with Ryan and was like, I don't understand why you're upset. You have everything I wanted. And then
Yeah.
he went and murdered a bunch of people that tortured him in his childhood. And he came back and he's like, you know what? I realize the error of my ways in parenting you. And this is Homelander's way of trying to be a better father. He's listening to Ryan. He wants to know what Ryan wants. And then watching this sick, twisted mind truly try to be a better father, but in his way
Yeah.
is, oh my gosh, it's fantastic.
It
But
is.
it's all the more reason why Ryan needs to get the fuck away from Homelander.
I mean, agree. So, I mean, the director of the VOT movies, right, is talking to them about Ryan's superhero movie. And then the assistant comes in and he's creepy towards her. So then later on in this scene, like I just showed you, they're watching this go down. The director's there and he basically tells Ryan what to do. So Ryan goes up and he's like, is this guy bothering you? It's okay. I want you to tell the truth. And so she does. And the director's obviously very scared. And then, Ryan says, slap him. And then
I
she
love her
starts.
reaction though. Like she wanted to, and
She
you
did.
could tell because she kept going, and it was like she needed to get that out because she kept feeling uncomfortable and like she felt like she couldn't say anything.
It was great. Yeah. I
It
mean,
was
100%.
fantastic.
But, you see that dark side of Ryan, that Homelander. Yeah, he's trying to be a better dad, but look what he's doing at the same time. He's like,
Right.
we're better than these people. We have the power. Show it off. And that's kind of a consequence of that. So,
Right. Poor.
and then they sip the milkshakes afterwards too. Like,
But the actor, I'm like, this kid is deep in.
oh, he has a
puberty right
TikTok.
now.
Have you seen his TikTok? Like, he makes TikToks about scenes from each episode of The Boys. It's actually funny. I recommend looking him up on TikTok because it is funny because he does do that. He was
He's
watching
killing his role.
he was
He's
watching the episode with the sauna with his parents, I guess, and he made a TikTok about that.
Oh my gosh, that's because I mean I know he's not actually 12.
He's a kid.
He's older than 12.
No,
but
he's a
still
teenager
young.
still. I mean, like,
So I did actually. There was another one. So Eric, or no, it wasn't Eric Kripke. But Eric Kripke did say he can't believe they got away with the sauna scene, and that there was somewhere, Amazon Prime Video in India, the scene was banned.
oh my, I'm not surprised. I mean, a lot of those countries
But
have a lot.
yeah, Kripke's like, I'm shocked we were able to get away with that because I don't know if anybody remembers. I'm sure you remember the scene of Homelander pleasuring himself atop the city at the end.
Yep,
Of
they weren't allowed to
2.
do that at first, right?
That was supposed to be season 1, and Prime was like, yeah, no. And then after the show did so well, I feel like they're now just like, just do whatever you want. The show is killing it. Everybody's watching it.
That's kind of crazy. Like, it's legitimately pretty crazy that it's like, you know what, you have full reign, whatever
their
you
goal
want.
is to make money. Like, yeah, as long as
And
the
it's
money's
the
coming
hottest
in.
TV show out there right now, especially for Amazon
Yeah,
Prime.
Tom,
I
you
mean,
need to watch it. Tom doesn't watch The Boys.
it's okay. You don't watch The Bear.
Oh, so somebody just commented they hope they finish it the way the comics did. So they've come out actually, and it sounds like they're unless they're messing with us, but they have said that they're not going to end it like the comic did.
They have said that. But I do agree. Forever New Readers, shout out to you on the YouTube. I wonder how they're going to do that because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't read it yet. But
I know I'm always real careful about not saying the ending of the
They
comic.
have said that they're not going to do it like the comic, but there are beats that I feel like they're heading to. I'm very interested, but something else from this episode that we're kind of getting closer to is Sage is on to A-Train. She knows A-Train did it.
Oh, 100% she knows. Yeah.
So, like, what's her end game? I'm very curious because A-Train's very nervous. They end up ultimately at the end of the episode, they blame it on
They throw
the
Cam and
news
Coleman
guy.
under the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
When I
then
was
they
seeing,
all
I'm
beat
like, wow,
him.
this guy's getting a lot of TV time. Like, good for
Yeah.
him showing up. And then Hell Hath No Fury, like Ashley Scorn.
Well,
I didn't
we
know
also
he was
get 2 Gen
married.
V characters too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the
Yeah.
Deeves. I'm gonna fuck your wife. I was like, gee, okay, whatever.
Oh my
Nerd.
gosh. And I can still breathe. Oh my god.
Yeah, but like at the end of this
Like-
episode, I know we're kind of jumping ahead real quick, but at the end of this episode, Homelander's like, people aren't gonna like us. We got to do things because we have to save America, and it's a very scary speech because now they're taking the gloves off, maybe, and then they beat him to death because A Train got with Ashley. It was like, hey, it was me who did the leak. We promised that we're gonna stick together. I need your help with this. And so she basically plants text messages on his phone to incriminate him.
He's like, I don't know who Marvin Milk is.
Yeah, but Sister Sage knows it's A Train. A Train's not very subtle about his scaredness either in that room, but she knows. So I'm wondering what her end game is. But yeah, they end up killing him at the end, which is brutal.
Well,
again.
I wonder. So yeah, now they're saying they're A Train. I'm all for the A Train.
I'm on the train for redemption. Absolutely.
I feel like it's been building since season 1. Like you've seen him always kind of go a little like, okay, I want to do this. And then I feel like he gets scared of losing his life and his fame. He's not just concerned about his life. I think he's genuinely concerned about his fame. Right. But actually to go back to the ending too of the comic, I feel like they do nods to the ending when he's talking to himself in the mirror with like the dual personality. So I feel like that's what they're kind of pulling from the comic. Because obviously they can't do the exact end because we know what happened to Noir at this point in the show. Yeah. But yeah, I'm loving the A Train thing. I wonder though if A Train knows that Ashley let Queen Maeve go.
I don't think so.
I feel like Homelander would be livid because he says, I know you've done other stuff. You didn't just shit in Homelander's toilet. So that's what I'm wondering.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. He might. I really hope A Train doesn't die. Like they're building up to his death at the end of the season, and I kind of hope that's not the case.
If he does, I feel like he'll go out saving Huey in some way.
Yeah, that's a fair. I feel like we're heading towards like the boys splitting apart at the end of the season before they get back together for the triumphant finale of season 5. I also feel like Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character, I got vibes that he's not real.
Yeah, I'm starting to think you're right there because even when I was waiting for Samir to be like, who are you talking to?
Yeah, because the way he was like, he mentioned we, and Samir's like, huh? Because Samir's leg gets taken off because these killer animals are running amok on this farm. They're hiding, and then they all end up just dying. And so Victoria Newman's very worried about Samir. They can't find Samir. They find his leg.
He's Zoe's dad.
Yeah, it's Zoe's dad. So they find his leg. And so it comes out that Butcher took off his leg from the knee down to basically kidnap Samir to make more of the virus. And so as he's talking to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Samir's like, what? And so I'm thinking that like it's a Venom situation. I think this is a Venom situation. We know Butcher has powers and he has a dual personality almost. I'm willing to bet that his character is
so you
like
think
Venom.
it's like that makes it like it's a parasite because we saw the thing come out of the bunny.
That's what I think it is.
Okay, this is more than it's something that's taking over because he's like, I have no idea what happened with Ezekiel.
Yeah, that's 100% because he was like, I don't know. I blacked out because they were like, what happened? He's like, I don't know. I blacked out. And that's all. And then when I woke up, but I'm 100% sure that Jeffrey Dean Morgan, just like Becca, are his brain. It's the
Becca
parasite.
definitely is. Yeah. But
obviously she is. Yeah. But I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan is too. Yeah.
Which how fucking interesting. But I mean, I do think he's actually real as well. But I think when Butcher's seeing him, like I do think he's a person from the past. I think he's
I feel like he died at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he is dead.
Like that's what I'm thinking. Like because Becca's dead, right? And he's envisioning her. So if he's also a figment of his imagination, so to speak, like I'm willing to bet that he was also somebody from his past that maybe died. That's kind of the vibes I'm getting, very much so, for sure. And then he's not real. I'm telling you right now, that motherfucker isn't real.
There's your TikTok.
That's true. Oh, good point. Oh, there you go. Lauren's cooking over here. But I mean the animal episode. So what did you think about the whole farm sequence there?
I don't know why Victoria Newman didn't just explode all their brains.
Well, she ended up smashing the driver of Stan Edgar's because they put him back in because he's like, no virus, no
Right. And
getting
so
out free.
but now he's gonna technically be on the run. But I mean, if she's
He
about to
is.
be VPs, then I'm sure she can probably get him a
Yeah,
legit
I'm curious
version.
what's going to happen there. Like, are Stan
Who
Edgar
knows?
and Victoria Newman going to team up to take Homelander down? Now we got 3 factions: Victoria Newman, Stan, and then you have the boys, and then you have the 7. So
So are we gonna get the enemy of my
heading.
enemy as my enemy sort of thing, you
I
think?
think it feels like it. So what I'm thinking, obviously, we don't know how the season's going to end yet. There's still 3 more episodes, right? There's 8 episodes total, which is crazy, man. Like that, the Acolyte ends the 11th, and then this show ends the next week. Like, we're in such a TV heaven right now that it's like, dang, I'm not ready for this to be over because, like, when do we get season 5? We got to know how it ends. So I'm
I know,
curious,
probably
though, that
another 2 years.
I hope not,
'Cause
but
it's been 2 years since season 3, but this is a great show to rewatch, and
it
I think then
is.
another season of Gen V will come out, and I think I'm
I don't
gonna
know if the
reread the
planet
comic.
has 2 years left the way we're going. Okay, I need it now. There's
Yeah,
so much shit
well,
out there. But
I
I
do
think
think the part of the end of the comic with Butcher and the boys, I don't think they'll go there at all.
no, but there's that scene from the comic making its rounds where butchers walk on the White House lawn and all the soups are raising up above the White House. I think they're going to do something like that. I would be very surprised if they
Is it
didn't.
in the White House lawn or is it in the in front of the G-men?
No, it's the White House lawn.
Okay. Did you see they mentioned the G-men? Okay, so how funny was right after they announced that Marvel's gonna have Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con?
I'm glad you mentioned this because let's talk about the VCU.
Oh my god, Teenage Kicks Ditch Day. So I had to
We got
explain this to
so
Josh.
much. Super
This
School
is
was Ryan's
hilarious.
movie, first of all. He's in phase 7. Tech Night
Which I
came
don't think is
on,
happening.
obviously. We got Firecracker, God Help Me. We've got the
Gods and dogs.
multiverse, okay, double standard, Heaven's Miracle, Firecracker, Heaven's Miracle,
Days passed from the future for G-men. Oh my god, they're not even
Tech Night,
subtle.
Nightlight, A Train Off the Tracks, The Guardians of Godalkin Flipped, Speedwalkers 2 Mauled Race, G-Men Days Past from the Future, Firecrackers, A Christmas Wish,
I wish they would
Teenage
make
Kick,
some of
Sex
these.
Ed, like,
Give us a
okay.
Christmas special. Come
Black
on, man.
Noir,
How fun would that be?
Homelander, like, look at this. It's amazing. The Deep Gods and Dolphins, like, it's amazing. Like, you have all of these different phase 7, 8, 9, 10 ripple. But Marvel's big announcement, they're going back to Hall H, but it's hilarious. Just like all of those movies, dude, I was dying.
I was like, yeah, I literally paused it to explain it to Josh. I'm like, this is fucking phenomenal.
I want to point this out. Simon Pegg, who plays Huey's dad, looks so much more like comic book Huey. Well, that's because Simon Pegg is comic book Huey in the comics. We interviewed Derek Robertson, who is the artist behind the boys. Really great dude. Amazing human being. Check that episode out. I can drop it again. But yes, actually, fun fact, they drew Huey after Simon Pegg. So that might be why everybody thinks, hey, they look alike. Well, that's why Simon Pegg's in the show, because he's too old to play Huey.
Derek had to go sign it off. Yeah. And they had to get Simon Pegg to sign off that he was like okay with it for them to like continue or whatever.
Yeah.
Thought that was, but you know what I didn't notice before was I didn't realize Huey's dad's name was Huey. So he actually is Hugh Campbell. I didn't realize that until this episode. I don't know if they never mentioned it and they just always called him Mr. Campbell or Huey's dad.
I
probably
don't remember,
did
actually.
But this was the first time I really noticed that he is Hugh. And so I was like, oh my gosh, he's Huey Campbell in this. I love that.
That's too funny.
So,
yeah, but that's why he looks, because it is Simon Pegg, funny enough, which is awesome. And so let's talk about that then, to talk about the final scenes where Simon, you know, he doesn't want to kill people. And it was sad. And I mean, it kind of got to me a little bit because, you know, my grandfather was in the hospital. He thought he was doing well. And then he just passed away 2 days ago, and his thing's tomorrow night, which I can't get to. But so watching that scene with Huey having to say goodbye as he drugs his dad to overdose him and kill him, it was emotional. It was you feel bad. Like it's hard. Like Huey, his dad was his hero. He talks about, no, it wasn't, you know, Lamplighter or whoever. It was you, Dad. You were my hero. And then he overdoses him, and they're talking about going to Paris, and then he dies. And it's like, damn.
And he says, I'm scared.
Yeah.
When
Oh
I
man.
was like, "Oh, at least they got to have this moment." And I'm like, "Yeah, but he killed like 3 or 4
He
people,
killed a
so
lot
they
of
could
people
have
and
this
he's covered in blood.
moment."
And so it's like, but that's the thing about the boys, right? You can go from these brutal, gory moments to, look at
Mhm.
that. And that's just the duality of the boys. That's what makes this show so good is they're all over the place. You're laughing one minute, you're throwing up the next minute because you never want to sit in a sauna again. And the minute after that, you're looking at lobotomies, and then you're having heartfelt conversations with your dying dad. It's just that's what this show is about.
But what's fantastic too about it is, yes, these things I think are thrown in there for a level of shock, but they're always relevant to the story as well. So it's
Right.
like
They
if
don't just
he
do it just to be
hadn't
like, haha.
right, if like, Huey's dad hadn't gone around and like ran through people and wasn't clearly messed up, then he would not have been as quick to be like, I have to essentially put my dad down. He doesn't want to be Jar Jar. Nobody wants to be
No.
Jar
Yeah.
Jar.
Right. It's
Oh,
so
that
it,
was
it
funny.
does. It definitely sucks. Uh but that's just, man, the show, I will say that, yeah, it was a good episode. Like, it's not that it wasn't I think coming off of like the Acolyte where there was just so much action unexpectedly, to the boys where there was a little less action, but it still like moved plot devices forward and everything forward. Now, like I said, the seven are taking their gloves off and they're about to start just killing people at will, essentially, is what they're getting to. And there's more going on as we get ready to wrap up these shows. It was just not like a whiplash, but it was just, one of those things. And now we have House of Dragon is out there. That's been on Sundays. The Bear just dropped last night. I wish The Bear was a weekly release because I think it's a mistake dropping all 10 of their episodes on one night. As you see
Hulu
with
usually did once a week.
no, The Bear, the last two, they started actually doing weekly, but with the last two seasons, The Bears dropped all 10 episodes on one day. And I think that's a dying model. Thankfully, streaming has killed, because then you feel compelled to binge and then you forget about it right away. And then you're waiting a year or two for these seasons
Then you can
versus,
rewatch it all again.
I know, but like, look what's happened to House of Dragon, The Boys, and The Acolyte, right? Like, how much throughout the week are we talking about
Oh,
these three
yeah.
shows across social media?
I
Whereas The
still forgot
Bear,
all of House of the Dragon.
right? Well, The Bear, people are going to talk about it, but they dropped every episode, so people are going to watch these 10 hours of television probably by the end of the weekend, and then they're going to not talk about it really anymore. So I feel like they're hurting
Yeah.
themselves.
And from a monetary standpoint, like I would, and I think a lot of people still do this where they wait for it so they can binge it and only pay for 1 month.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like, but you can watch it on Disney Plus, so you don't even need Hulu. Like, The Bear's on Disney Plus, but
It is?
yeah, like that, it is. Hulu and Disney Plus, and they have a lot of stuff on there. So The Bear's on Disney Plus. I recommend you watch it. It is a great show. I've watched the first episode. I'm not going to spoil it, but it was powerful. It was a very powerful episode. I'm probably going to hop on Monday night with Tom on Nerd Initiative to talk about the first episode or so. Carrie's out of town, so I won't watch it again until probably Saturday or Sunday. But speaking of Saturday, I think we're still doing a Patreon movie night. We've been talking about doing that. And we're going to be doing the Fantastic Four, very first Fantastic Four movie with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba. So we're going to hang out with our Patreons and we're going to watch this movie. You don't have to drink a beer. We'll drink a beer, but you can just come hang out. We'll just talk. We'll watch the movie together. Oh my God. I was like, for the Empire. That might be the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. I think this might be the best thing.
Is that Norm Macdonald in the picture?
That's Norm Macdonald. Yeah, from the Jeopardy episode of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah. Was he
Turd
Burt
Ferguson,
Reynolds?
yeah, dude, he's Burt Reynolds, and there's Turd Ferguson. Yeah, dude, that's such a class. Oh my, that might be the right there. That might be the best. With that said, though, man, God, make sure help us out as always. Like, subscribe, share, follow us. We are dropping an episode on Monday about Twister because Twisters is getting ready to come out with Glenn Powell. We are going to be dropping a Supernatural season 9 bonus episode. We have a couple creator interviews coming up. We just talked to Kevin Zoland about Kitty's Bordello, which is a comic book. It's going to be 5 issues. We talked about issue 1. It's based on real events during World War II, where they tapped their It's a kiddie salon, so a brothel. They tapped it to spy on their citizens. And after that, we just talked to Matthew Ehrman about Loving Ohio from Dark Horse Comics. He's done a lot of really good stuff for IDW, Mad Cave, Scout. We have that coming out. Trevor, also from Pocket Watch Press. We talked about his comic book Rise, which is on Kickstarter right now. So we have a lot of really good creator episodes mixed in with, we just did an episode that dropped Monday about The Lion King 30th anniversary.
Best movie ever.
Exactly. If you guys can just help us out, man, like, subscribe, share. You can find weekly comic book reviews on Wednesdays now at 9 a.m. Eastern, nerdinitiative.com. I will be live Tuesday nights talking Turn a Page with Ken and Tom from Nerd Initiative, where we dive into a comic book. We'll be doing that. And then Lauren and I, obviously, every week. And then, dude, everyone's been asking about the hoodie. Not here tonight, but anytime I post like a TikTok, Roosevelt's, baby, rsvlts.com. Tell them we sent you. We're not sponsored. That would be great, because I literally dropped like $800 worth of Roosevelt's to go on our cruise in 2 weeks. So please help your boy out. My kids can't eat. They're eating ramen noodles. They can't feed themselves. I am neglecting. I'm just kidding. But seriously, man, they're my favorite brand. Performance hoodies are awesome. And this is the Ahsoka one that I just absolutely love. So I had to wear it to talk Star Wars tonight, right? Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us. We did talk about the Acolyte. We talked about the boys. So if you missed any part of this, I will be dropping it probably tomorrow up on our feeds. And with that said, Lauren, do you have any final thoughts before we depart?
Justice for Soldier Boy.
I feel like Soldier Boy's coming back for the final season. Derek Robinson actually posted a picture of him with Jensen Ackles, and I was like, dude, I'm so jealous. He's like, you're jealous? I had to stand next to that man. And I was like, yeah, dude, you got to like smell him.
Met somebody.
And he was like, he's every bit of nice. And I was like, I bet he is. Can I meet him? Can you introduce us? Please, I need to smell his musk. But yeah, you know, not to get weird, but to get weird, Jensen Ackles.
It already got weird.
Anyways, keep your lightsabers close, but keep your V even closer.
Yeah. Okay.
That sounded kind of weird. Lightsabers and V could be a very big metaphor, kids. I don't know where I was going with that. I thought I had something to tie the boys and the Acolyte together. Instead,
Jar
I just
Jar
made
ties
an
them together.
sex joke.
It was Jar Jar. Jar Jar brought it together.
With that said, thanks for hanging out, everyone in the chat. We'll see you guys next week. We might have one 4th of July Cantina Hour in us next week. Stay tuned. The only way to know is to subscribe. Peace out.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com. The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, be sure to check out nerdinitiative.com.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm, Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun, Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for 50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.